Good evening. I call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge for Monday, July 8th. John Warnemont, would you lead us in the pledge? Thank you, John. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Francis, Trustee Schiappa, both are out, I believe.
Right, and they both gave me notice that they were going to miss the meeting because they're on vacation.
Trustee Paveza.
Here?
Trustee Snyder.
Here.
Trustee Mattal.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Mayor Grasso.
Here. That would bring us normally to the consent agenda, but I'm going to ask, as the mayor, to move for a motion to move item 7A to the forefront and consider resolution 7A right now. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Anita?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Now, we're on item 7A. 7A is consideration of a resolution recognizing 40 years of service to the Village of Burr Ridge, John Warnemont, Public Works Operations Supervisor. Madam Clerk, can I get the resolution that is in your packet? I've kept it. There are 2 copies. Thank you. We have a resolution for John. I want to read it, and then I'll ask for a motion. Resolution recognizing 40 years of service to the Village of Burr Ridge, John Warnemont, Public Works Operations Supervisor. Whereas John Warnemont did on June 11, 2024, mark his 40th year of employment with the Village of Burr Ridge Public Works Department. And whereas John Warnemont has provided outstanding support and service to the residents and businesses as a general utility worker and as an operations division supervisor. And whereas John Warnemont continues to manage and maintain the village's fleet, streets, snow and ice control operations, storm sewers, flood control, HVAC systems, and general building maintenance with pride and exemplary moral character. And whereas John Warnemont has dedicated countless hours, oftentimes after hours and weekends, for emergency calls, responses, maintenance needs, and community events to expeditiously satisfy our staff's continual needs and our community's highest expectations. And whereas John Warnemont has witnessed the village triple in population from approximately 3,900 in 1984 to 11,200 today, while he has served under 5 mayors, plowed every lane and mile of the village's roadways, reported to work in 3 different public works buildings, and is widely known for his perpetual politeness, gracious smile, and assuring presence. And whereas John Warnemont, by virtue of his 40 years of employment with the Village of Burr Ridge, has provided outstanding service to Burr Ridge residents, businesses, mayors, trustees, and employees, all of whom are urged to recognize John Warnemont's exemplary service and contributions to the Village of Burr Ridge. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge, DuPage, and Cook Counties, Illinois, that John Warnemont shall hold a place of high esteem in the minds and hearts of the residents, businesses, and employees of the village, and is offered our sincere congratulations on the completion of 40 years of service. Can I get a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Adopted this 8th day of July 2024 by a vote of the corporate authorities of the Village of Burr Ridge on a roll call vote. Approved this 8th day of July by the mayor of the Village of Burr Ridge. John, congratulations, and come on up here. Come on up here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
And
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
John, picture, Sue, can I get one of the resolutions? Did you give it to Evan? Yeah. Give me that. There you go. So, shake your hand, hand you this. Great, thank you very much. Frames and everything, okay? Thank you.
Well, if I could,
Yes.
thank you, Mayor, Board of Trustees, Evan, Sue, thank you all. This has been just, it's been a journey, and I'm so grateful. I'm just so abundantly grateful for you all who I work with today currently. And, you know, the previous mayor, the one who I started with was Eugene Bud Aglanese, Jim Connors, the village manager at the time, and Pat Pecora, our village clerk. So Karen Thomas, of course, was in the mix, and she, of course, moved right up to the village clerk. Such dear people. I just really appreciated them so much. I appreciate all of you so very much. This has truly been a special place to work for. And I turn around and look at all of you and who I currently work with, and I certainly echo that out to all of you. Dave, my boss, thank you so much for being very considerate, well trained, and just so good to work for, and so skilled. So thank you. And TJ coming on board, we're so glad to have you with us. Anna used to be our public person, there he is, only a few years ago. And it's Mark working with you. I remember when you and John came on, you know, Chief Madden, Deputy Chief, Officer, and all the rest of you guys. Working with Nick here. Nick was my, one of my part-time guys when he started. He was still in school, and now he's supervisor of Forest Street grounds. So it's good to see. Good to see you here. And I just think about back all the years of working with 40 years, of course. There's so many people that I've seen move on, go to different places, retire, move out of state, and just I've been thinking about all, as much as I could remember, many people, and it just brings it all back down to that I had so many special people
All right, that takes us to the consent agenda. An item shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any one trustee or anyone present at the meeting. Those items marked with an asterisk are considered to be on the consent agenda. A roll call shall be taken on the approval of the consent agenda and recorded in the minutes as an omnibus vote. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be discussed by the board, opened for public comment, and voted upon during the meeting. 5, minutes A, approval of regular board meeting of June 10, 2024. B, approval of Economic Development Committee meeting of June 12, 2024. C, receive and file Plan Commission meeting of June 17, 2024. 6, ordinances, approval of an ordinance approving 2 variation requests from zoning ordinance sections 4J and 4I 34.34 to permit one fence 30 foot by 6.5 inches from the corner side yard setback extending no further than the north wall of the home, and 2, a patio 30 foot 6.5 inches from the corner side yard setback extending no further than the north wall of the home. VO2 2024 15W 627 89th Street, SG. 6B, approval of an ordinance denying 3 variation requests from zoning ordinance section 4J to permit a fence in the interior side yard, a fence in the interior side yard, and a fence less than 50% open, VO3 2024 9S 247 Madison, Davolis. C, approval of an ordinance denying a text amendment to section 4.1.38 of the zoning ordinance to permit walls and masonry piers in non-residential districts, ZO4 2024. Text amendment, walls and masonry piers to shell. D, approval of an ordinance amending section 4J of the zoning ordinance to amend in the regulations for fences on corner lots. Z16 2023, text amendment, residential fences. E, approval of an ordinance granting a conditional sign approval for a wall sign for a non-residential structure in a residential district. S01 2024 15W 451 91st Street, Burr Ridge Middle School. And F, approval of an ordinance authorizing the sale by online auction of personal property owned by the Village of Burr Ridge for police and public works vehicles. 7, resolutions. D, approval of a resolution amending the auditor rotation policy. 8, considerations. C, approval to direct staff to prepare an ordinance approving an amendment to special use ordinance A 8340123 to permit automobile rentals at an existing business, Z07 2024 311 Shore Drive, Tesla. D, approval of a settlement agreement and general release. E, approval of award of contract for the 83rd Street resurfacing project to Lindahl Brothers, Inc. of Bentonville, Illinois, in the amount of $1,028,337. F, approval of spending authority of $50,000 related to the Elm Street interconnection project. G, approval of Mayor Grasso's nomination to appoint Jerome Connolly to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners for a term expiring May 1, 2025. H, approve notice of resignation of general utility worker Ricardo Vega. And I, approval of vendor list dated June 24, 2024 for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $604,954.55 for all funds, plus $250,474.39 for payroll ending June 6, 2024, for a grand total of $855,428.94. With that, can I get a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda? 5, A, B, and C. 6A, B, C, D, E, and F. 7D, 8, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion at the board level? Any comment or discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
4-0.
4-0, the motion passes. Okay. That takes a lot off the board. That takes us to 7, Resolutions B. Consideration of a resolution adopting a board policy related to the evaluation of Cook County Class 6B incentives. Is that yours or Hannah? Hannah, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to present on the Cook County Class 6B incentive policy. I also want to thank the EDC for their time and effort in developing this policy. We've created a framework that allows for a better analysis of 6B incentive requests. In the past, the board approved 4 6B requests, but recognized the need for a clearer guideline on how the village reviews these policies. So what is a 6B incentive request? It's a development tool created by Cook County that reduces the property tax rate for industrial property from the standard 25% down to 10% for the first 10 years. It then increases to 15% in the 11th year, 20% in the 12th year, and then back to the standard 25% thereafter. So what does that mean? As an example, let's imagine that a property on Tower Drive, which is the only industrial property that we have in Cook County and Burr Ridge, imagine they pay $100,000 a year in taxes. With a 6B incentive for the first 10 years, they would pay $10,000 a year instead of $25,000 a year. That's a difference of about $15,000 a year. So what happens to that $15,000? It doesn't just disappear. The rest of the taxpayers in that district, including homeowners, have to make up that abatement. While it's not a significant load on everyone's taxes, the principle still remains that there would be an increase in property taxes if an abatement is approved. It's important to note that the abatement is approved through Cook County, though. It's not a village incentive, but it is a Cook County incentive. So the village does play a crucial role in the decision-making process. So if the village doesn't approve a resolution or an ordinance supporting a 6B incentive, Cook County will not grant a classification. The village's vote is the final step in the application process through Cook County. One second. With this proposed policy, the EDC would make a recommendation to the board, which will then make the final decision on all requests for Class 6B classification. This process mirrors that of the Plan Commission and the Zoning Board. So the EDC will evaluate each application, and then the board will use this information to make the final decision. Each request is evaluated on an individual basis. 50% of the considerations are based on the economic and fiscal impacts of to the community, like increased sales tax or revenue and property values. 30% will consider improvements to existing buildings or site conditions, or fill vacant and abandoned properties, and then 20% of the considerations would focus on a project that provides high-quality jobs that may increase wages. For instance, replacing a $25 an hour job with a $35 an hour job would ultimately be seen as a benefit with this policy. Finally, there will be applicants who are new or who are requesting a renewal for a 6B incentive. The application includes additional criteria for renewals that require proof of substantial economic impact. Section 2.3 of the policy has a complete breakdown. I'm happy to answer any questions on the 6B.
Just let me make one comment. We don't raise or lower property taxes. Really, that's more schools and the other, we're 1.5% of your tax bill. So this is actually a Cook County in this instance. This would be a Cook County property tax relief, and Cook County would ultimately have to approve it. So I want that to be clear. I'm not a big fan of 6B. It has to be very judiciously looked at, in my opinion. But there might be situations where it's called for in our village. And I just thought it was necessary to have a very clear policy of what that would be. So that's the purpose of tonight. So that's my comment. Does anybody at the board level have any questions? Yes, go ahead, Russ.
Not so much questions. I do want to thank staff on putting this all together. I do serve on the EDC committee with trustee Scappa, and I know a lot of work went into this, a lot of discussions, and I want to thank especially Hannah here on a job well done. This is well needed, so thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else at the, okay. All right, do we need a motion to adopt this?
Yes.
Okay, so I need a motion to adopt a resolution adopting a board policy related to the evaluation of Cook County Class 6B incentives.
So moved.
Second.
We have a movement and a second. Any discussion at the board level? Any comment or any discussion from the public? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
4-0.
4-0, the motion passes. Takes us to 7C. Consideration of a resolution adopting a board policy related to the evaluation and use of downtown business district funds. You also got this one, Hannah?
Yes.
Okay.
This was this funding policy for the downtown business district was a collaborative effort with the Economic Development Committee. So I want to thank them for the hard work. We had a lot of back and forth on what should go into this policy. The downtown business district was established in 2021 to generate revenue through a 1% special sales tax with the goal of supporting development and redevelopment. The exact lines of the district are within the proposed policy, but it is essentially made up of properties across the street along Burr Ridge Parkway. For the fiscal year 2025, the business district is expected to bring in just over $670,000, bringing the projected fund balance to approximately $2 million by the end of FY 2025. This proposed policy creates a mechanism by which the village can effectively use or distribute funds to support local businesses and development initiatives. So here's how it works. All projects are first evaluated by the EDC, which will then provide a recommendation to the board. This process works similar to how the 6B works. However, with this policy, the EDC's recommendation may be to either fund a project as it's presented, fund it with conditions, or not fund it at all. That could be the recommendation. And then the board will then evaluate that recommendation alongside the application, and in doing so, the board can choose to fund a project in full, partially, or not at all. Eligible costs under this policy are pretty broad and include anything permitted by state law and within the village's business district plan. It covers professional services, site preparation, public infrastructure, and a plethora of other things that are listed under section 2.2 of the policy. All projects must demonstrate fiscal solvency and have the necessary funding and zoning approvals. Staff will review all the applications that are received with appropriate consultants and the legal team to determine their completeness before submitting it to the EDC and then eventually the board. Finally, this project, the applications must demonstrate that they align with the business district objectives and the village's strategic plan. So there's two policies essentially they need to meet. Some of the criteria include enhancing the village's tax base, improving public infrastructure, facilitating pedestrian and bicycle access, promoting facade and signage improvements, and stimulating private investment within the village. I'll take any questions.
Any trustee questions? I have a recommendation. So reading through this, when you get to the last section, it says additional provisions. In the appropriate spot within there, I think something to the effect of no developer, applicant, or business may rely on any provision herein until approval of the application by the village board and not before. I want to make it pretty clear in here that there's no basis to rely on anything in here until it's actually been approved by the village board. That means even if the EDC, what I don't want to see happen is the EDC is in favor of something as an example, and it takes 2 weeks or a month or more to get to us, and we have a different opinion. And I don't want some developer to act on what the EDC did as if we're just a rubber stamp, and then start pointing to provisions in here and getting a lawyer to make some kind of argument and hold us up. So I'd like some clear language. That wasn't the best maybe language, but council can help us put something in there that makes it very clear that no one has a right to rely on anything here or any vote of the EDC until the Board of Trustees approves something. Okay? So with that, hopefully additional provision in here, can I get I need a motion. I need a motion to adopt this board policy related to the evaluation and use of the downtown business district funds with my recommendation.
So moved.
We have a movement and a second. Any discussion at the board level? Any discussion from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
4-0.
4-0, that motion passes. That takes us to 8 considerations. Consideration of resignation notice of Board of Fire and Police Commissioner Sandra Allen. Is there anything we need to do or just make a?
These are traditionally left off of consent to provide an opportunity to thank volunteers, et cetera, at the board's convenience.
Yeah, certainly Sandra was on, Mark, help me out here, 20 years? 22 years? Certainly put her time in as a volunteer. Again, one of the great assets that we have in this village is the people that are willing to give their time and energy for no compensation. And a thank you after 22 years for serving on the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners. So we do want to make a little formal, more formal thank you than tonight. We'll put something together, some resolution for her. But we do want to thank Sandra for all of her hard work over 22 years. And if anybody else wants to add anything, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll move on, and then we'll do something for Sandra at another meeting. Is 8B withdrawn?
So yes, sir. Today we received written notice from the petitioner and AB that they withdrew their petition. There's no need to discuss or take any action on tonight. We're noting that for the record, and that petition is now closed.
Okay. So that takes us to item 9, public comment. Is there any public comment? All right, item 10, for the record, there's been no public comment. Item 10, reports and communications from village officials. Start with Anita, as
All
usual.
right. Well, if you've been out and about enjoying the concerts, guess what? There are 4 more left, so take advantage of them. The one this Thursday is Dynamics. And before that, I hope all of you enjoyed Route 66 celebration. That was, I've seen it in other villages too. It's a big thing. And Burr did a phenomenal job, thanks to our team, staff. Very nice. So Dynamics this Thursday, and Festa Ferrari on July 14th, and then Taste of Burridge on August 17th. So enjoy the summer while it lasts. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Anita. Anybody else? All right, I have a few. First of all, we had a recent Attorney General opinion upholding a resident complaint that we did not ask a particular trustee the question as to why he was calling in. It requires that question to be asked, even though we all knew and proper notice had been given that that person was on business. And so the Attorney General has reminded us that we have to ask that question, although now we don't because we have a new policy. So it was form over substance, in my opinion. And just to give you a sense of how well we do with these types of requests, since I at least went back to when I came back in May of 2019, we have had 15 requests of residents and others that are not residents of the Village of Burr Ridge challenging what has been done at a village board meeting. 14 of the 15 have been decided in favor of the Village of Burr Ridge. In other words, that we're doing things correctly. And this only one thing is, to me, form over substance. So we're going to continue to rely on council to give us advice and do things the way we have been doing consistently for the past several years, and I think for many years prior to that. So it's unfortunate. By the way, we have one resident who, let's see, out of 15 requests to the Attorney General, going right to the Attorney General, which then costs time from staff and therefore money from the village. It requires attorney's fees to answer and explain. We have one resident that has put in 9 of the 15 requests. And then this one was a simple technicality in which, if she really was interested, in my opinion, of the proper way to do things, she would have asked us rather than try to get her name in the newspapers and with the Attorney General over something that was form over substance, again, in my opinion. So let's continue to do things the way we do it here in the village. We certainly respect the Attorney General's opinions and will follow the rules as required. The next thing is the Hinsdale Parade. I went to the Hinsdale Parade as a spectator this year, and you know, that's real Americana. Our neighbor does a really good job on July 4th, and I thought they did another great job, and it was fun to see their community come out. A lot of Burr Ridge residents I saw from time to time. The mayors from Willowbrook, I think Oak Brook, and maybe Darien were there too, and so it's a nice event. I was also, because I have a grandson that made the Little League All-Stars, I was at the Burr Ridge Willowbrook Little League field, and there were so many people complimenting the conditions of the field and you know, the great facility that's there, and so kudos again to the Burr Ridge Willowbrook Little League field and organization. I've also gotten questions more recently about what is recyclable and what is not. And so, correct me, Evan, I think we have it on our website.
Yes.
But there are handouts for anybody that wants them to learn about what should be recycled and what should not be. And it's amazing, I was doing it wrong. So I'm going to read this. And basically, even if something's in plastic but it contained food, it's not recyclable. So anyhow, read some of the rules. It's interesting. Groot gives us these for all residents, and so I'm encouraging people to understand what the rules are. If we're going to have a recycling program, at least let's try to make it effective. I read one study that says 90% of the recyclable material is not recycled because it's contaminated by definition in some manner. So let's see if we can do it at least close to the rules. And then finally, getting back to the 4th of July theme, in 2 years, it'll be our 250th anniversary. And so I'm throwing it out, and maybe I'll challenge Claire a little bit. Maybe there's something in the Village of Burr Ridge, either in conjunction with another village, but we do something special in July of 2026 to celebrate our nation's 250th anniversary. So a little advanced planning, we might be able to have some collaborative effort to celebrate the greatest country world history has ever known. So with that, can I get a motion to adjourn for the next meeting, which will be July 22nd in this room at 6:30?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.